I've got the spores, the sickness. There's the twins in my brain.
The 2025 cycling season is here, and so is the Domestique Cycling Podcast. After a couple of months, we're back for the men's 2 Down Under preview. Joining me today are Yves and Dieter. Welcome back, guys.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine. Happy to be back here, to be honest.
Yeah, it's been
Season starting again, so we're good.
It's been a couple of months without podcast. Are you thrilled to do it again, or?
Yeah, it's yeah. After the winter, first race is Australia. It's something to look forward to. Immediately a World Tour race. So, yeah, happy.
2 Down Under, is that a difficult race to preview?
Yeah, as always, last year Simon Yates practically couldn't lose, and I think did he even make top 10 on GC? So it's always very unpredictable. At least one favorite is always disappointing. Some guys are peaking for this, some just see it as a preparation race, but you don't really know who's speaking for it because not everyone is going to tell, hey, I want to win here. So it's a very tough one, yeah.
The fact that it's so unpredictable, does the course have something to do with that? Because you have some sprint stages that aren't for the pure sprinters. You have pure sprints, but for GC, you don't have the big climbs. Of course, there's Willunga Hill, but fast men who can survive a climb can win GC here, right?
Yeah, it's like for Jay Vine and Luke Pleb, it's hard to make a difference on Willunga Hill, but for guys like Corbin Strong, it's tough to win on Willunga Hill. So it's like between climbers and those really strong sprinters, it's like a type in between, like an Oscar only, Stefan Williams, who win on Willunga. So it's a very specific type of effort.
Let's have a look at the course first. Yves, we have 6 stages here. Am I right when counting 3 sprints?
We had a little discussion about it, to be honest. I don't really know because those stages, you talk about stage 1, 4, and 6, or 1, 2, and 6.
1, 2, and 6, yeah.
I can agree with 6, of course. That's mainly bunch sprint. But then like the first stage is 1,600 altitude meters. Normally it should end in a sprint, but of course you never know. First race kilometers, first competitive kilometers. It's not in a walk in the park for a guy like Welsford, for example. He's the fastest pure sprinter here. So I see maybe some fast men getting dropped already into that first stage.
I don't
Same.
really agree with that, to be honest. Stages 1 and 2 are pretty similar, in my opinion. You have a climb with around 30 kilometers to go. It's 1, 2, or 3 kilometers, averaging 6%. I do think it might be a little harder for Welsford to hang on, but I can't see him getting dropped. For me, those stages are punch sprints. Stage 3 is something else. Then you have pound reserve climb in the final 10 kilometers, 7.7% average. That's something for punchers. I do agree with that, but stages 1 and 2, in my opinion, aren't that hard.
Like when you look at the first 20 kilometers of stage 1 and 2, that's immediately going uphill to start with. That's when the break forming happens as well. I don't know if this real sprinters will be able to cope with that, some sort of that early pain in the legs, and it's the first competitive kilometers. It's always something extra, and I don't think it's gonna be that easy to go to a bunch sprint there.
I think it will be a bunch sprint, and I think Welsford will be there in both stages, but he won't be there with good legs. I think he'll be there with, in Belgium we say cut off legs, not literally, of course. And that's when guys like Corbin Strong, Matthew Brennan, who are way fresher, can beat Welsford on a flat sprint. And also stage 3 and 4 are tough, but I think there's also a good chance that it's still a bunch sprint, but just a very reduced bunch sprint, with like 15, 20 people, from which again a Corbin Strong type wins.
Dieter, you gave some stars to the sprinters on Twitter.
Yeah.
Before I reveal the names, can you give us the criterium you used to give those stars?
Yeah, I got a lot of backlash because I put certain sprinters pretty low in the rating. But as Yves said, it's a very tough course. It's not just for the Gerben Thijssens and Sam Welsfords of this world. You need to be really strong to win the stages here, except stage 6. That's an easy crit race, but the first 4 stages are really, really tough. So I really looked for strong guys who can survive really tough climbs and then still have a good kick. And I mainly based my sprinters ranking on that.
All right, let's go through the list. Yves, we're waiting for your opinion. 5 stars for Brennan, 4 stars for Strong and Bauhaus, 3 stars for De Heers, Pitti and Teutenberg, 2 stars for Andreessen, Welsford and Kokar, and 1 star for Marit, Pedersen, Canal, Busato and Watson. Let's hear it from Yves.
Well, when I saw the stars, Brennan 5 stars, or that's how do you say it in proper words? Big balls. We all know the guy is very talented, but he's neo pro. It's his first professional race. It's World Tour. I expect a lot from him, but to give him the top favorite status in the sprint field might be a little bit too much. Yeah, Welsford 2 stars. A lot of backlash for that indeed. But I some sort kind of agree because of the cause of Tour Down Under. I had a chat with it about Hans as well. But yeah, I think the stars are pretty right, to be honest. I can't only that Brennan thing, but Dieter, you have to be honest. You just wanted to put Brennan on top to be able to say, I said Brennan would be good. Here it is.
It's pretty serious, to be honest. The first 4 stages are all stage 3 and 4 are really tough. It depends how it's raced, but at the moment it's a headwind in the final, so that makes that Brennan can really win those stages, that they are perfect for him even. If it was tailwind, it was on the edge, and then stage 1 and 2, if it's raced hard and Welsford is tired, as we said, he can really win those stages. So yeah, it's a lot of people also said, yeah, Brennan can survive a lot of very tough courses, but he isn't fast. Like Brennan is really fast. He's clearly being underrated. He's faster as a Tortenberg on the flat, for example, who a lot of people rate a lot higher. But Brennan is and stronger as a Tortenberg and faster, in my opinion. So maybe
Do,
I'm just really wrong with giving Brennan 5 stars, but I guess we'll see it the next week.
do you
So
think
Dieter,
Brennan has the top speed that's needed to win a professional
Yeah,
bunch sprint?
yeah.
Really?
He beat, for example, we all know Mareshko as a guy who can't survive any hill, but who is very fast on the flat. And he
Yeah.
beat him in a Croatian race, Trofeo Umak something. And yeah, it was really without trouble his first 2 races of last season as a first year under 23, and he won both with ease, to be honest, against professionals. So yeah, that says a lot.
if I understand it correctly, Dieter, Brennan is your favorite for stage 3?
With the current win prediction, yes.
Then who's your favorite for the first 2 stages? If it's not Welsford,
Maybe for stage 1,
Bauhaus.
uh, yeah, Bauhaus is a good one because he's
Headwind.
also really fast on the flat, but he has that little bit more of an engine as Welsford. But it depends. Like if it's being raced really quick, I think we can expect the first race for the pros. I think they're going to race like crazy. Then it's more to those Corbin Strong, Matthew Brennan types, so they've raced in a calm way. It's more for Sam Welsford's, Phil Bowes. But I expect it's going to be raced pretty quickly, and that's Welsford is really going to have a lot of struggle, to be honest.
All right, then we need to talk about stage 6 as well. That stage is very flat. Is Welsford the man to beat there?
Yeah. I have the feeling that he's not going to win a stage in the first 5 stages, and that he's going to win stage 6 with like 3 lengths or something to like
Uh,
get back, you know?
Can I ask why you think about this with Welsford? Because he won the Australian National Crit race a little bit more than a week ago. He seems to be in shape. Last year he won the second stage and the two down under, if I recall correctly. So why do you think he's in a less of a good shape this season, or is the competition just
Not
more
less of
tough?
a good shape. Last year was just a better course for him. Although the stage he won was also one stage he won was also pretty tough.
Yeah.
But it's just one. It's indeed very good competition in the sprints, as you say. And two is just a really tough course. Stage 1 is doable. Stage 2 is really tough. The climb is it's doesn't look that hard on paper as it really is. Stage 3 and 4 are impossible for Welsford, and then stage 6 is yeah, he needs to win there. So yeah, not that much opportunities in my opinion.
Yves, were there any surprises in the sprinters list of Dieter?
Uh, Surprise maybe for the non-Belgian cycling fans. Simon de Hees might be a surprise for some. To give him 3 stars. He was on my list as well. I wrote him down, but not a lot of people outside of Belgium know him. I
Yeah,
think so. That
that's
might be
true.
a surprise for some.
And maybe a little explanation there. He won a lot of like Belgium races last year, but tough Belgium races. He's not like your average sprinter like Gerben Thijssen who can only sprint on the after a flat race. He's really quick. I think his peak power is like close to 2000 watts, but he's also really strong. He's really a unit of a guy. I think he's 1 meter 92 as the same height as me, but he weighs like 10 kilograms more. So it's like a unit of a guy.
Then there's Samuel Watson as well. He joined Ineos Grenadiers this season. He's 23 years old. What do you expect from him in 2025?
That's like he on the flat stage. If everyone is fresh, he that's not for him. That's not the way he's going to win sprints. But those again, like a Corbin Strong, like a Matthew Brennan, he needs those tough stages, and then he can really mix it up in the sprint. He's not going to win any, I think, but like fifth, fourth, third, something like that. That's really a possibility.
There's one more name I want to talk about. Tim Tortenberg. He's a unit. He won the under 23 Paris-Roubaix, among others, in 2024. So he's a classics type with a big engine, but he has a kick to the line as well.
Yeah.
When can he be happy after this Tour Down Under? Just gaining experience, or do you expect results as well already?
Yeah. If he just gained experience and he becomes 10th in every bunch race, he's really not going to be happy. I think if I was Tortenberg, I would have the ambition to go for a win, and I wouldn't be really happy if I didn't win, unless I'm like second or third every sprint stage, and he survives those tougher stages. But I think he really has the ambition to go for a win here, and rightfully so.
All right. Let's talk about the GC fight at Tour Down Under. Which are the crucial points in the course for that fight? Of course, there's Willunga Hill, but is there any more?
Yeah, it's Willunga Hill, as you said. That's of course always the main stage because you have the finish on the top of the climb. But I think it's stage 3. Yeah, stage 3. The climb is tougher as Willunga Hill, to be honest, but it's not the finish on the top. It's like 7.
Yeah, you've got
How do you say?
the pound reserve climb inside the final 10 kilometers.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
2.7 kilometers, averaging 7.7%. So that's indeed a tougher climb than Willunga Hill. Do you expect major differences there?
Yeah. Um, yeah, like I
You
said,
say, yeah,
it's
Dieter, but Tour Down Under, what's typical for Tour Down Under is the fact that most of the time there aren't major gaps. It's all, yeah, all the time it's pretty close.
Yeah, but
a stage like this isn't a thing that we see every Tour Down Under. A stage like this, I think they even never used this climb, so this is a pretty new thing for Tour Down Under. And we even saw when Dennis won the Victor Harbor stage, also back in this year's Tour Down Under. It's an easier stage than stage 3. And when Dennis won, it was headwind in the final, but they stayed away with like, I think 3 or 4 people, and they stayed away for like 30 flat kilometers. And after the last climb in stage 3, it's only 7 rolling kilometers. So I really expect some difference, to be honest.
Yves?
I think this Tour Down Under might be played out with bonification seconds as well, because if you look at the result on Willunga Hill last year, the gaps weren't big at all. Like there were 10 riders within a 12-second gap, knowing the bonification that are at every finish line at every stage. It can be beneficial again for likes of Corbin Strong, for example, who can sprint into top 3 into bunch sprints. And
Yeah.
if a guy like that is able to hang on Willunga Hill, if it's maybe rode a little bit more defensively the first 500 meters, then he can just snatch the GC win. Because Willunga Hill isn't the climb where you will gain half a minute or more.
Exactly, I agree. I think Corbin Strong is really being underrated. He loves the Willunga Hill type of effort, and it's perfect to go with Corbin Strong with bonification seconds in the first 4 stages, then let him follow on Willunga Hill and let Stevie Williams attack on Willunga Hill. It's a perfect combination. And also last year's Willunga Hill, you said no big differences, and that was even while the climb was rode really fast because Harper attacked early, and that's really made that it was a high pace on the climb, and still no big differences. So that's a good point.
I remember, Dieter, we were on the hype train for Corbin Strong already last year in the preview for this Tour Down Under. He was our favorite to take the win, but then he got sick in the week of the race. He's the only rider that is in your sprinters list and in your GC list. So that means the time gaps will be close, but your big favorite still is Narvaez.
Yeah, to be honest, I expect him to take another step at UE. It's still difficult to predict because he can also react very badly on the UE zone 2 training and be very shit, but that's not something I expect. So to be honest, I expect him to take another step up. And we saw how good he was last year. So if it's another step up, yeah, he's going to obliterate the competition. But like I said in the beginning, it's always tough on to predict Tour Down Under.
We've got
Where does
the Narvaez fanboy here, Yves. I see you
No.
smiling already when Dieter is saying that Narvaez will be flying. So
Where does Narvaez make the difference on Willunga Hill, in your eyes?
To be honest, already in those, if stage 3 at the moment is headwind final, but if that changes, I wouldn't be surprised with, for example, Narvaez going solo from the climb and winning it. And then Willunga, I wouldn't wait for a sprint. If I was Narvaez, I would go like Richie Port style, with like kilometer to go and then just go full gas for that minute. The perfect effort for Narvaez, and like that take 15 seconds or something. If he's really at his level, I think that's a possibility, to be honest.
Will he get himself into the mix in sprint stages to get bonification seconds? Is it necessary for him?
That depends, I think. Like when we said earlier, if stage 1 and 2 are raced in a calm way, I think it's for Rui Oliveira. But if it's raced in a very fast and tough way, I think Rui Oliveira won't be there. So Narvaez will be going for bonification seconds. And in stage 3 and 4, it's definitely for Narvaez because it's impossible that Oliveira is going for the win there, I think.
All right, Dieter, let's walk through your GC stars. You gave 5 to Narvaez, 4 stars for Williams and Only, 3 stars for Fisher Black, Schmidt and Gloak, 2 for Nerurker, Vine, Strong and Lapera, and 1 for Bajoli, Leserve, Pitti, Plap and Higita. You've been talking about Strong being the main man for Israel Premier Tech and Williams helping him on Willunga Hill get that GC win, but still Williams is 2 stars higher. Can you explain that?
Yeah, Williams last year we saw this. He just loves this kind of efforts, and I've talked with Derek G, teammate of Williams, and Williams is in amazing shape. I also saw that on Strava again. He's keen to go for the win again. He's in very good shape. He loves this race, and I both have trust in Strong, but we also have never seen him successfully do an effort like Willunga. So it's tough. Like one side I think he can do it, but on the other side it's still an unknown. First side I think Strong 3 stars, but then yeah, just also because there are all other strong names, Schmidt, Gloak, and Fisher Black. Yeah, really, really strong guys for this kind of effort. So I think they deserve that 1 star more than Strong, to be honest.
Yves, did Dieter make any mistakes?
Not really. I saw in our Discord server, Erythropoietina didn't agree with Lapera on there.
Yeah,
Can you
mainly with
explain,
Plap.
Dieter?
Yeah, I think it's mainly with Plap too low that he had a problem. He said that Lapera was going to Domestique, so I think he probably read it on the team's website, but I've from experience and know that there's sometimes a lot of crap on those teams' websites. So for me, it would be really strange that Lapera is not going for a GC here. And then Plap, I think he's in very good shape. Yeah, I don't think he is in very good shape. We saw that at the national road races.
It's
But
January.
just
Flop and January. He just peaks to January.
yeah, but I don't see him win on Willunga Hill. That type of effort, he doesn't really have that kick in him. So unless he likes goes solo on stage 3, which is also hard because again he doesn't have that kick to go solo, I don't see him win GC. I see him like becoming 7th or 8th on Willunga because he just doesn't have that kick in the final kilometer. So yeah, maybe I'm very wrong, and Plop goes very good for the GC here, and I rated him too low, but I don't see it at the moment, to be honest.
All right. The big question, who do you think will win Tour Down Under?
Me? Narvaez. I will join Dieter.
That makes a very boring prediction from our side because I join you guys. I think time gaps will be pretty small once again for GC, and then the faster men have an advantage with the bonifications, of course. Yves, you've marked a couple of riders to watch as well.
Yep.
I remember we were at the bar last night. One of those names was Kwiatkowski, which was kind of a surprise to me. Why is Kwiatkowski a rider to watch for you?
Well, he's in the Ineos team. The Ineos team has to prove something after a difficult, last season, difficult last couple of seasons. Um, Geraint Thomas is there. Samuel Watson is there for the sprints. But Kwiatkowski is a rider who likes this type of races when he's in shape. I don't expect him to win. Don't understand me wrong, but he will be in the mix, and I think it's his first time in Australia. Um, if I recall correctly. So I think he will do good and he will be in the spotlights. Um, for me, he's a rider to watch. Maybe it's a bit strange because he's in the older generation of cyclists, but yeah, I wanted to mark him down for the week in Australia.
Yeah, I agree, to be honest. I saw Kwiatkowski's name. I didn't know that he was racing this until I was making my GC stars, to be honest. And then I saw his name, and then I was doubting, like, I kind of want to give him 1 star, but there was no 1 star rider that I wanted to drop out. And I also had that problem with the sprints, like Matthew Walls, Rui Oliveira. I don't have those in my stars. I wanted them in, but I just didn't have enough place. So yeah, makes it tough.
Any other names, Yves?
I have two more names, and I'm really looking forward to what Dieter thinks about them. So we already had a talk about Matthew Brennan as neo pro, but UAE lines up a young gem as well, Pablo Torres. What do you expect from Pablo Torres?
That is not explosive enough for Willunga Hill and stage 3 and stage 4, the Victor Harbor stage, and the stage 3, I can't remember the climb name. He's a really pure climber. Like, he won on the very steep gravel climb last year in Tour de l'Avenir. I forgot the name for a second, but he's like really pure climber, like for the 1 hour efforts, not for the 7 to 8 minutes Willunga Hill efforts, in my opinion. So I don't expect too much from him, but that's the same thing as I said about Del Toro last year. We all know how that ended. So yeah.
Then two more names. Let's start with a little trek. Tim Tortenberg, of course, we already talked about, but Albert Witten Philipsen. I had a chat with Ethan yesterday about Tour Down Under, and he was ecstatic about Witten Philipsen. Do you join his enthusiasm?
I'm also very keen to see him race, but I think Ethan is a bit over the top with the Phillips in his season winning GC. I see him doing very well in the stage 3. He's like a Corbin Strong type, in my opinion. Yeah, no, more Matthew Brennan. Like, as that Matthew Brennan and with the Phillips can be compared with a Michael Matthews. I feel also Visma bike also said it about Brennan. I thought that was a very good comparison. So he can maybe even win, to be honest, like stage 3, because he's very, very fast, and he can survive that kind of effort. But I really don't see him winning or being like second or third on Willunga, what you need to do to win GC. So I think Eaton is a bit too bullish on Witten Philipsen, but I'm also expecting good things like around 10th in GC, but not winning it.
Shouldn't we lower those expectations a little bit? The guy is 18 years old. It's not normal for someone of that age to win a World Tour race. So I do understand the guy has a lot of potential. He's a very strong rider. But the most important thing is gaining experience right here.
I did a 7.5 minute effort, I think, 2 days ago on Strava. It was on 8%, and he went like 27 kilometers per hour, 7.3 watts per kilo, something like. Okay, he's 18 years old, but if you put out those watts, yeah, it doesn't matter if you're 12 or 35. If you can do those watts, you can do those watts, you know.
Right,
And then,
Yves, final name?
yeah, last name. At the bar again yesterday night. Hannes dropped that name after a conversation with Ethan as well. Noah Isidore. I have to be honest, I didn't him down. He wasn't on my radar at all. I looked him up, his results, his achievements the last couple of years, but I don't get the hype for now in Down Under.
I do get a type, to be honest. It's one of the guys that got beaten by Brennan in Croatia last year. He's like pure puncher, but with a really, really fast kick also. So like those stages, stage 3 again, maybe stage 2 if it's raced really fast. But like if there's a sprint with 20, 25 guys, that's the type of guy that's not going to win GC, but is still there in those tough stages and then can go for a win in the sprints. But I do think that he's going to get dropped on Willunga Hill.
All right.
All right, guys, is there anything you would like to add to this Two Down Under preview?
No, I'm hyped to get to start the racing. So let's go.
It was good to be back in this podcast season. So please, fans, enjoy the Two Down Under preview, and we will be back next week, I guess. If you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I've got the spores, the sickness.